What's going on, everyone? What's going on? How everyone is doing? This is Stan James. You guys know me. We have some special guests in the house tonight. We have Mr. Stanley James Sr. How you doing, sir?
Doing great.
Doing great. We also have Miss Bernetta Gates. How you doing?
Blessed.
And then Mr. Sheldon James. How's everything?
What's up, bro? How's everything?
Good. So you know me again. My name is Stan James. So the people you just heard is the people from the James family. Well, now one of them is the Gates, but you know, true to the name of the James family. And then we also have the father of the bunch, Mr. Stanley James Sr. So we're gonna go right into this podcast, and we're gonna talk a little bit about, you know, some things in the past, and also some great things that are happening in our lives, and things that's gonna be going on in the future. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this question session with all of them. So the first thing is, I think everyone's asking. So, Dad, why didn't you name Sheldon Stanley James Jr.? I think that's the number one question everybody is looking for.
I think that's your question.
No, that has something to do with your mom. She's the one that picked the names out. I did want to name him Stanley James Jr., but your mom, she changed her mind when the baby was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So so she picked Sheldon James.
So I guess I was the one that had to deal with three first names: Stanley, Richard James.
Well, boo, I got three first names.
Oh, you do? Sheldon
Leonard James.
There you go. And then we got Bernetta Sheree Gates. There you go. All right. So my first question is to you, Dad, is why don't you tell us a little bit about how you and our mom, Miss Cherry Bush, how did you guys meet?
Well, I was going to Dominguez High School, and she was going to Centennial High School. I was going to school, and I started working for the NYC, Neighborhood Youth Corps. I didn't want to do it at Dominguez High School, so I started doing it over at Centennial. So after school, I would ride over there and started working there, and that's where I met your mom. Nice.
So a few years go by, you guys graduated from high school, and you guys my mom gave birth to my brother, the first of the bunch, on September 8th, 1971. What were some of the thoughts, and what were some of the things that was going through that time of the 70s and the 71s, and bringing a baby boy into the world?
I was really excited for my first child, and your mom and we had a strong bond at the time, and I said that I would do anything for my firstborn, and I tried to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, he did. He did everything for me at that time. Gave me a horse.
We'll get into that. So, do you remember any time when you were? I mean, I know you was only 2 years old, but do you remember any other time when you were by yourself, when you was an only child?
No. I can't remember, because I always had Nay on the side of me. And when I was younger, I didn't really. She was almost like my twin, pretty much. And I don't remember myself being by myself.
Okay.
So with me and Nate, when she came, that's the only time I kind of remember when I was a child, because me and her was connected at the hip.
Okay. And then, so 1973, October 15th, you have your second child with our mom. What's going through your mind at that time?
Well, I was excited about it. The reason why, because I just had brothers in my life, and I was glad to have a daughter that I could help bring up, and so it was really exciting for me. But I didn't have your mom's the one that named her. I picked a different name, which I won't say. But I was happy that.
Wait a minute. We need to go back.
Hold on.
Go back.
Run that back, Dad. Run that back.
We can't skip.
We can't skip that. You gotta tell us the name.
What's the name? What's the name?
Run that back, Dad.
What's the name that you picked?
I picked Sheila.
Okay.
Like Sheila E?
Well, without the E.
Yeah. Sheila E.
Well, I'm gonna start calling Nate Sheila.
No.
She changed the name while the baby was coming out. We had an agreement from the beginning for the 9 months, but when she was on that table, your mom changed the name, which I'm still proud of.
Yeah.
Very blessed.
Yeah, I love that name.
Bernetta.
Yeah. But, I never heard that story before in my life.
Me either. I didn't know you was named after Sheila either. From Prince.
Oh, man, we're going to get some stuff out of this podcast.
So, Nay, at that time, 1973, October 15th, you're now the baby of the family. Do you remember any of that time of growing up in 1973 until I was born? But we'll talk about that later. But do you remember any of that time?
I just remember Dad he would pick me up and put me on his shoulders, and so that was something I remember. And so like now, having Dad in my life, he's still doing that. He's picking me up and putting me on his shoulders, because even his support for when I go and speak or preach, or just to hear a voice of reasoning at times. So from what I remember when I was a child, it's like God allowed me to keep it in today, that he's still doing that same thing, picking me up and encouraging me.
Nice.
So I remember that.
Well, during the time from 1973, and I don't remember this horse at all, Mr. Buckshot. The one. Why don't you guys tell me a little bit about Buckshot?
Well,
what color was he?
He was brown.
Brown. And I think that's how I broke my arm.
Let's get it straight. It wasn't 1973 when he bought the horse.
No, because I was born in 1973. I was 10 years old.
Well, that's 10 years old. Dad, when did you buy the horse?
Like 1981.
Yeah, I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, it was after I was born?
Yeah. I think Mom was watching you and me and Sheldon.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Dad took us to the horse, the stables, and then I think you were at home, because we would ride the horse.
Okay.
But I would ride the horse, and I think I saw too many Western movies or something, so I decided to whip the horse. Mm-hmm. And why did I do that? And that's when he bucked me off. He buckshot bucked me off.
Yeah, I think if you whip anybody, somebody's going a pig, a cat,
They're going to fight back.
He going to fight back. So he bucked me off. But till this day, I don't know if he ran over my arm or he...
No, he didn't run over you. He just bucked you.
And I fell
and you fell on your I think your elbow.
My elbow.
Yeah.
My left elbow. So I still have the scar.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you buy the horse from?
I bought it from a guy that was working at Ralph's Groceries. We were working at the warehouse, and I bought it from him because he had a ranch and he had horses, but he wanted to get rid of the Shetland pony.
But let me tell you this: where he bought the horse was right next to Michael Jackson's house.
Oh, really?
And it was in Encino.
Do you remember that?
Okay.
How do you remember that?
Because he went with me.
I went with him to go buy the house and then the horse. And when I remember it was in Encino, and I listened to their conversation, because I listened to Dad's conversation, because I used to I still look up to Dad, and when I was little, I would look it up to him. Everything he said was like gold. And I remember listening to their conversation. They said Encino, Michael Jackson lives down like away. They can actually smell, because remember he had that zoo.
He did.
Correct.
He had that zoo, and they could smell the the animals and like the stuff that's coming over there. And I remember he lived in Encino.
And you brought the horse down to Compton, Carson?
Alpine Village.
Oh,
Alpine Village.
yes.
Alpine Village, that whole land was empty
Yes.
for miles.
Yeah.
And that's where we kept him at with other horses.
Yes.
We used to race. Me and Dad used to race all the time. Actually, Buckshot was pretty fast.
He was.
He was pretty fast. You think he's still living? No.
That's a whole nother.
He as dead as that cat that was in front of Boo's house.
So 6 years later, from 1973 from 1973 to 1979, October 8th. Yeah, that's the question. What were you thinking? Like, dude, like, I got another kid. Here I come. Here I come. 1979, October 8th. What are you thinking?
I was happy that we had another child. It went well, but your mom and I, we just had some difference in the past. It was not just, but I was grateful that I had 3 children in my life. But it went on for years. But sometimes some marriages don't work out the way that you really want it to. And first I was blaming one person, but I wasn't really blaming myself. But as time went on, it takes 2 to do everything. But I was really grateful that 3 children of mine was part of me.
Right. So coming into 1979, now, Nay, you are no longer the baby of the family.
Boo. We got
Sheldon
Boo.
is the oldest. You're the middle child. What were some of your thinking when you were 6 years old, looking around like, here come this dude?
Well, I thought, like the baby part, I thought he was cute, and I was like, we used to play, me and Sheldon would play with Boo like he was a doll. But then it was like he began to get irritating.
I remember those days.
He was getting irritating, so it was one of those things where it was cute, and then me and Sheldon would plot little things to get him irritated and upset. And I don't know if he said you would try to kill me or I would.
Well,
you want me to elaborate on that?
Yeah, let Sheldon elaborate.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because like my son, Mr. Braylon James, is a spitting image of me. So there's a lot of things that he does, and I say in my head, like, I would have done that. I would have done it like this, but I would have done the same thing. And how he, irritates Brielle, and being the baby of the family, he's a spitting image on me. So I can see some of the things that I was doing to you, where you're like, oh, this dude, right?
Yes.
Off the chain.
Off the chain.
Well, I actually walked in. I was walking the neighborhood, and I walked in, I think, on Braylon and Brielle having an altercation. And I was like, well, that was me and Boo.
Yeah.
That was me and Boo. So, but it was then, and then I guess we still were like that when we got older. And then, but now what God has done to put us together, it's unbreakable.
Right.
And that's a blessing.
Right. So we had some.
So I'm glad I didn't stab you.
I remember the comment was.
Tell a little story.
I got a couple of stories.
Sheldon, won't you chime
I was
in?
always the guy to stop the fights. I was always the guy to stop the fights.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I remember that one time. I think Mom said, "Who left the peanut butter and the jelly out?" and we said, we don't know who the peanut butter. And then she said, "Boo, you left the peanut butter and jelly out." And Boo said, "No, I didn't leave the peanut butter and jelly." "Boo, just tell me that you left the peanut butter and jelly out. All you got to do is just tell me." And she said, Boo said, "No, I didn't." And I said, "Boo, come to the side real quick." let me talk to you for a second. Just say it, because she's gonna be tripping. Just tell her you said it. And they said, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna tell her I left the peanut butter and jelly out. I said, she's not gonna do nothing. So she said, Boo said, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and tell her. I left the peanut butter and jelly out. So he left the peanut. He said, Mom, I left the peanut butter. He said, get in the room and get the belt.
Yep.
And then I guess she spanked him a little bit. She said, I told you.
Me?
I guess
she whipped me.
She whooped him. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
And then Nay comes in like 5 minutes later. Hey, why everybody so gloom? He says, hey, Boo left the peanut butter and jelly. I got a whooping. He says, I left the peanut butter and jelly. And then I said, well, that's for next time, Boo. That whooping for next time.
Because you're going to get one next time.
So you got to pass.
Yeah,
on the next one.
It was a lot of those stories that we, growing up in those apartments and growing up in the 70s and the 80s and 90s. When we were growing up, we lived in an apartment. It was a 2-bedroom on 223rd and Grace, right? I still remember the number. 224 Grace
103B.
103B, right?
103B. Wait, do you remember the phone number?
83559006.
That
Amen.
Sure was it. And that was, those, even though it was all of us that lived there, we had Dear, our grandma that lived all the way in the back, right? Who was smoking like a chimney.
Marble. Cool.
I would go to school and they said, Bernetta, you been smoking?
She's smoking.
No.
She's smoking. But she did have a walk-in closet.
Mm-hmm. She did.
And then we had our own, we had one bathroom.
Yep.
Mom and Dad was in the middle room, and we all slept in the front room.
In the living room.
But I tell you one thing, like during those times, we thought we lived in a mansion.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had some great times that we were going through as we was growing up. What were some of the things when we were growing up in the 70s and 80s that kind of stand out?
The first one I thought when the baseball games that playing baseball was unbelievable. That was our getaway. And then I always think back when me and you used to sleep on the couch. You used to sleep on the other side. I sleep on the other side. And I remember one of the funniest things when Boo had a nightmare and jumped on the TV and jumped out the window.
I still have those vivid nightmares to this day. I've gotten up and walked right into a wall.
Actually, that time was Dita came over and Dita was laying on one side, and Boo was on the other couch, and Boo had a nightmare and jumped on the wooden TV, almost jumped out the window. And then Dita said, "Oh, it's time to go."
Not good.
What about you, Nay? What about some things that growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s?
Well, I appreciate even to this day the love that even with my brothers, they allowed me to sleep on the couch, being the only girl and playing basketball with our socks and with the basket and baseball in our living room, those kind of things. And when I walk into big homes and see people that have a lot of money or living big, and I said, but we had love. Mm-hmm. We had love. And you can't replace that with a big home. And so that's one thing I will say. If we were poor or without I didn't feel it. Mm-hmm. Because everything was right there. And when you have love, you have everything. So never went out, without a meal, and always had a place to lay our head. And so I just remember going in and Dad cooking 3-minute steaks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah. So you remember. I think when Mom was having Boo, and he had to cook for us, and he would put them. They don't have them today, broilers at the bottom of the stove. Mm-hmm. Where you put that meat in there and let it broil. But I remember things like that. He was just cooking those steaks, and boy, those steaks were so good with that little square butter on there. And so when you think of that, and that we had our prom, and homecoming, and then one picture I had my basketball uniform. Boo had his basketball uniform.
And my baseball.
And Sheldon had his baseball. And so those type of memories, let me know that the reason why we're the way we are now is because how we started. We started out with love, and we're going to end this thing with love. Mm-hmm. So I remember just being together and you jumping on that TV. Like, what is his problem? Like, he needs to go get counseling.
It's still coming. It's coming. It's coming. I do remember growing up in the 80s, especially the 80s, where when we lived in the apartments, it was more of a community and a family atmosphere. Yeah. You can go to everyone's house 9 o'clock in the morning and knock on the door, and one of my friends was Leonardo. And and tell his mom, "Oh, can Leonardo come out? It's 9 o'clock in the morning," and we would be outside all day.
Hey, Boo, can I ask you a question? I don't know if it's true or not, but
okay.
You're and Leonardo. Did you guys ever take the car? Did you guys take the car to 7-Eleven when you guys were young?
It wasn't 7-Eleven. I don't know how far we went, but we did some mischievous stuff. Yeah. Like, for instance, I remember taking the bus during the summertime all the way to Del Amo Mall. Yeah. Yeah. And passing by Mom when she was working at Magnavox.
In the bus?
On the bus. Yeah. I do remember that. But we did some mischievous stuff. I think it was, we was trying to take the car a few places. Mm-hmm. One thing, I don't think we can do it now, but there was a few times that Mom let me go to Ensenada with Leonardo and his mom.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
And me and Mom had that conversation. He said, "Hey, should I let him go us?" And I said, yeah, go ahead. I didn't know anything about Mexico at that time, and I said, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I think I went 2 or 3 times to Ensenada. So if somebody was to ask me now, can Brielle go to Ensenada with a family for 3 days? Like, no. Why would you even ask me that? Yeah. No, but I do remember those times. Everything was free flowing. You knew exactly where everyone was because their bikes was in the front, right? And then we played. We had a cement in the middle of the apartment and grass on both sides. So that means it was tackle on the grass, and when you got to the cement, it was 2-hand touch. We also had Mom would direct some plays during the summer. So she would bring everyone from the community in the apartment to come and watch our plays. So we've had some great times from growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And we also had we had a president on our hand. We had the president. You live your life and I'll live mine. You know that line.
I'm returning back.
Return of the Jedi. Hey, actually, me and Jaime wrote that rap for her Carnegie being president. Yeah, yes. Me and Jaime wrote that.
Right.
And wrote the beat.
Oh, you wrote the beat too, and you became president.
I became president. Wow.
Wow. Sheldon was the quiet one. Going through the schools. Nate was, the goody two shoe, did it all, right?
Yeah.
Well rounded, and Boo was the athlete.
The black arrogant, Michael Jordan,
the black P Diddy, right? The P Diddy before P Diddy.
Don't listen to nobody. He just doing his own thing. But I want to say this about Sheldon. Like you said, he's quiet and past because when he had busted his eye, we were playing outside, and he came and. I'm up there just playing, and then all of a sudden he comes into the house, and all he tells Mom is, "Don't worry, I'm okay." And blood is gushing out of his eye. And as calm as he was then, he's still calm today, like that. Like nothing bothers Sheldon.
Right.
And
thank you, Nate.
Thank you. He's very mellow, and just very easy to get along with, aside from.
So here's I think it would fellas, right, if we didn't talk about how did you get a gig to drive around Little Richard?
Oh, here we go.
And this is the height.
This is the highlight. This is the highlight of the 80s.
Eddie Murphy running around crazy. Magic Johnson running around crazy. The 80s is just going off, and you are the driver for Little Richard. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the limousine company that I was working for, we had a contract with Disney Studios, which was Touchstone Pictures.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a movie called Down and Out
In Beverly Hills.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Shut your mouth. Well,
Who said that?
Little Richard.
Oh,
shut your mouth.
And what happened, Little Richard, I shouldn't be saying this, but he was coming from London and he rented a car. It was a 280ZX or 300X ZX. And he was driving down Santa Monica Boulevard in Hollywood. And he wrapped his car around a pole. Nobody can't say why he was on Santa Monica Boulevard. He should have been on Sunset. Santa Monica Boulevard at that time, probably now too, it's for people that's gay. As I put it, on the other team. And so what happened, Little Richard, he couldn't drive anymore, so he needed a chauffeur. So Disney Studios put me with him. And I was with him for 7 days a week. So I went to different churches on Saturday and Sunday. He just went for show.
Mm-hmm.
And if he needed me, he would call the house.
Yeah, he called the house one day.
Stanley there.
Stanley there.
Who was it? Little Richard.
I say, Dad. Little Richard's on the phone.
Dad?
Little Richard's on the phone.
Stanley, get down here in 20 minutes. I'm on Beverly Hills. Eddie Murphy just left my house.
Really,
I remember him calling the
I'm on
house.
my way.
I remember him calling the house. I remember him. 2 or 3 times. And Dad said, I gotta go. I was like, all right.
yeah. I met a lot of celebrities through Little Richard. Well, I didn't really meet them.
But you saw some things. And I'm sure you signed a non-disclosure agreement.
No, Eddie Murphy was one time. He was in Little Richard's company. So
Hey, can you give us a story, a quick story on one of the craziest things you've seen with Little Richard, or him with another celebrity or something?
Or another guy.
it was always
No, just something crazy that something that stood out in your mind when you used to drive around Little Richard.
Well, I remember one time he put this guy through college. He was going to USC. He was putting him through college. Little Richard bought him a car and got him an apartment out there in Loma Linda. And Richard saw the guy. We were driving down in LA, close to on Martin Luther King Boulevard. And Little Richard saw him. He was talking to another guy. And Richard got upset. So the next morning he wanted me at his apartment at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock so we can go to Loma Linda. And when Richard's upset, we became vegetarian. But if he was happy, we ate soul food. Because Richard paid for everything. He always kept an entourage with him. We drove to Loma Linda. We stayed in the car, and Little Richard went into his apartment that he was paying for, and he came out happy. So we knew that we were going to eat good that day.
Well, I'm sure it went down the way that Little Richard. You guys had some M&M's, some fried chicken ribs, didn't you? So, during that time that you were with, driving around Little Richard, our sports career really jumped off. We started off at Scott Park, and that's where we played baseball, basketball, and football. And one person that was constant, that was always there, not as a fan or in the audience, but she was there coaching, which was Mom. Right. Nate, why don't you tell us a little bit about how that was an impact to you to have Mom there coaching you from softball and baseball and any other sport? We also had acting. We had some acting trophies. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, just to have the support, the encouragement, and knowing she let me know I can do anything. And she was one of the big reasons why I was able to get a scholarship to go to college, because she got up at 6 a.m. to make sure I get some practice in, a little more. I would have to do more. So just to have her be my coach and my cheerleader, that just made it all worth it, and all the work she put into us, it wasn't in vain. It wasn't in vain. So to have Ma there all the time, it was motivating. She made us believe we could do anything. And so I believe, even with her gone now, our relationship is the way it is because she instilled that in us. And so by her being our coach and our cheerleader and Mom and just support, it just makes things like, man, I can do anything. Mm-hmm. Like nobody couldn't tell us that we couldn't succeed. Nobody couldn't tell us that we couldn't make this or our relationship the way it is today. Nobody couldn't tell us, this wasn't going to be, because Mom already put it in us. So now it's just being manifested. So it means the world to me, even where I'm at today. Oh God.
Can I elaborate on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
With your mom, she stuck with all three of you in sports, meaning she completed it, made you always kept that bond between the three of you. I didn't do that because I wasn't there, and I really look up to her for that. She never gave up, and you did it as a team. And I really do appreciate that she's doing that. Sometimes you can't bring stuff up. You can't redo the past, but you have to understand. I learned from it. Mm-hmm. And I wish I did stick it out, learn more about the three of you individually. But no, I had that pride in me, and I ran away from my responsibility. And sometimes things you can't change it, but you learn from it. Mm-hmm. She never gave up on the three of you, and you guys have that strong bond between the three of you. Same thing with your family. You have that bond, no matter if you have ups and downs. Mm-hmm. Ups and downs. You never give up. Mm-hmm. And that's where I really look up to the three of you. You're doing that with your family, no matter what.
Yeah, Mom, she, that's something that she really, I don't know if she was doing it unconsciously or consciously, but it was happening right in front of our face. Even when she was going through, the cancer fight, it was like she wanted to still work 2 jobs, right? Or when she was working, it was, as soon as I get off work, meet me at the park. Mm-hmm. I don't know how she did it, because even having 2-parent household with myself and my wife Brandy, with 2 kids, and Sheldon and Aditha with the 4 kids, and Nay and David with the 4 kids. It's hard. We have great times. We love seeing the kids, but it takes a special person to be able to keep ripping and running, right? When you tired, but you want to just go ahead and just get there, because it's a lot of sacrifice. So for our mom to sacrifice those years to make sure that we were successful in whatever we were doing and showing the support, it is something that we have instilled in us, and we still want to pass that on with the kids. And it's small things. I remember when I tore my Achilles, and the next day, I'm back at work. That doesn't stop me. It's like, let's go. My mom, she went through cancer and was at work the next day. So what is a little tear in your foot, your leg gonna do, right? So she really did put that in us, and we only see things as obstacles and not barriers.
Your mom, she really, the time that she was here, you have to look at it, she gave the best that she could. And look at the 3 of you. You're following her in her footsteps. You're spending time with your kids, especially in sports. All 3 of you. You learned that from your mom. And you really do have a strong bond between the 3 of you. You never gave up on that. And that's something that you, with your kids, they're going to follow you guys in your footsteps. So I'm proud to be living to see that, because you learned that from your mom.
One thing that we had when we was at the apartment, Sheldon, we had all of our trophies that was lined up on the windowsill, and then we had like a trophy case. And if you made 3rd place, or you had a participation trophy, it wasn't going up there. It was always a competition to be able to have the number 1 trophy and to have the most trophies. I remember times of bringing the trophies out and almost counting them of who had the most trophies. How did that inspire you?
That inspired me so much that she put that tiger in us to go after what we did. I remember when we used to go. If you remember, Nate, and we used to go to our what's it, the picnic thing when they give out the trophies and all that stuff. The award show. We used to go to the award show, and everybody would be sitting down and they would say her name, and my mom would tell us to stand up for our sisters and brothers. So if Boo was getting a trophy, me and Nate had to stand up, and then vice versa. If I was getting a trophy, they would have to stand up. That was unbelievable. That she taught me that to respect, to love your family. She was just unbelievable. She was incredible. She was incredible. I to this day I still can't believe she's gone, but she was incredible.
We went through Dolores Elementary. All of us went through the Dolores Elementary. We went through Carnegie Middle School, or Carnegie Junior High at that time, and Carson High School. For you, Sheldon, what was one of those schools? What was some of the high points, or what was one of those high points in one of those schools?
At one of the junior, are you talking about?
Either in Dolores.
My high points in one of the schools? Yeah.
Something that stands out. And it cannot include Lancey.
Okay. Well, you denied that I ran a 4.4 in high school, so I
didn't deny, just not on tape.
No proof.
I ran a 4.4.
Okay.
I think the one of the most incredible things is me and Nate going to school together in high school, and me meeting Aditha was one of my high points, because if I didn't meet her, I don't know, it's the scene I leaned on her, during all these times, with just going up in high school. I think she was one of the highlights of my high school year. She was my high school sweetheart. So, and then going to school with Nay was it was kind of like we were twins in high school, and going to school with her, and it was incredible. High school was incredible. And then I gotta go back on Dad. Dad did coach one of my high school, well, not my high school, one of my football teams, my flag football team. I don't know if you remember when he coached with Clyde. You remember that, Dad?
Yes.
Okay. And that was I was trying everything, whatever you want me to do, Dad. I was like, I remember that time, and I just wanted to give him props for he did coach me, and I think we was like 11 or 12. So.
He did give you like 4 different cars, right?
Yeah, he did. He gave me a Dodge Ram, a Maxima, a Volkswagen. That's it, I think.
Okay.
He gave me a lot, man. He gave me a lot, man.
I remember one time your mom couldn't show up. She asked me to coach Burnette's game. It was softball.
Oh, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.
It was where you had to
Pitch the ball.
pitch the ball, but you had to.
Yeah.
The next thing I know, I was going to the hospital.
He pitched the ball. I think he pitched like 2 innings. Next thing you know, Bob says, "Call 911."
I said,
"Well, for what?" I said, "For what?" His arm is dislocated or something. I don't know. Call 911.
I was at the hospital, and the doctor said, all you did is you didn't, something about springing the arm, or meaning that all you have to do is just work the arm a little bit more. And I told the doctor, hey, when we walk outside, and to my wife, don't tell her. And then they told her. And she just busted out laughing.
Oh, man.
And I just couldn't. Then we came home, and she told you guys. And you guys started busting out laughing.
I do remember one time that we did play basketball. I want to say it was at Dolphin Park, and I don't know how old I was, but I do remember the next day you were laid up because you were so stiff. It was like, what's wrong with Dad? It was like he's just stiff. You know, doesn't usually play sports, so
It's a different effect.
So my question is, well, let me go back to some of the things that stood out for me. Well, I don't even think I asked Nay. Did I ask you what was one of the high points, either in Carnegie or Dolores or Carson High? I didn't ask you that. So what was one of the high points?
I think when I got my scholarship for basketball, that was a high point. Another one, I think, Sheldon, did we dress alike? Did we both get the white Nike Jordan jogging suit?
With the red stripe on them down?
Yeah.
Somebody had that, because that was fly.
We had, we got the Jordans and the white.
Was that in junior high school?
I thought that was in high school. We both were able to get the white Jordan jogging suit and the Jordans. And so we took a picture, I think, together. But then another one highlight for me is when Dad got Sheldon that white Mustang for the prom.
And we got shot at.
And he got, that was not the shot at.
But just having that white.
Yeah. The white Mustang, because I was looking, I said, if he got him one, then I'm going to give me one. So I remember that, because I remember Dad taking a picture and he was pointing at the 5.0.
I remember that.
You remember that? So
yeah, I think I still got that picture.
Yeah, so that really, I remember that day, and I was like, I can't wait till my prom. Was that prom? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I remember I couldn't wait to my prom because, of course, I wanted to get that same car.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we took those pictures in front of Grace.
Yeah.
Grace
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but look what you guys did. I mean, with your kids, you got a Corvette for David.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an expensive car. And
Shelton.
I got a Corvette.
He got a Corvette. Yeah, we got it.
You
Yeah.
got a Corvette. You got a
Corvette
for
for-
Cheston.
was it for
Cheston.
Yeah.
Cheston?
That's why David wanted a Corvette, because he saw Cheston. Yeah. Boo's not there yet.
They're gonna have a Prius.
Electric.
No, listen. She got a
Corvette too.
Corvette
Yeah.
too, you know.
Say she got a Corvette.
Yeah.
So one of well, not one, but two things that stand out for me of growing up and playing in sports and going to Dolores, Carnegie, and Carson is one. Nay was always that inspiration, right? Because she was 6 years older than me, but she was the middle child. So everything that she would do, I would try to replicate because she was standing out. Like, for instance, she would go on recruiting trips, and she would come back home, and I don't know why, but I put on some Texas Tech shorts that she had. My booty cheek was hanging out.
What is he doing?
We thought Boo was going the other way.
Like Dad says, on the other team.
He was on the other team. Ma was concerned. Me and Sheldon was concerned. He was on the other team, and we kept saying, "Boy, that's a non-athletic." We don't know where he came from. We used to say he was adopted, and we didn't understand why he was so different than us. And then I went to college, and Sheldon kept saying, "Come to Boo's game, come to Boo's game." And I came, and I don't always use the word proud, but I will say that day I was so proud to call him my brother because he played basketball, and I was like, that's Boo? Like, you just exploded.
Well, I'll say the same thing Michael Jordan says. Like, I grew 10 inches over the summer. I think one summer I went from like 5'1" to 5'9", so I really grew into my body. So that's what it was like, okay, here we go.
It was like, and I wasn't praying back then, but God knew something I needed to see Boo make a change. And so when I came to that game, and I think David had brought me, and I remember standing up in that's my brother. That's my brother Boo. And then I looked at Sheldon, and Sheldon was like, yeah, he's different.
And that leads me to what Sheldon did, because he really stepped up and became like the male figure of going to all my games. I remember having a travel basketball game in Vegas, and he drove. It's usually a 4-hour trip, and I think he did it in like 3 hours.
3 hours
to try to get to my game, or be in Palm Springs. I don't know if you remember. I do remember this. It was so hot in Palm Springs, and your radio plate fell off because the glue that they were using. The glue he was using, and just being at my games, that was it was something special. Pop Warner games, you didn't have to be there on Saturday nights, in the prime of your life, in your 20s, with Aditya, but you were there. My games would start at 7:30, and you were there. So those were some things that I remember growing up from Carnegie from Dolores to Carnegie to Carson that I really appreciated. So now that we're married, right? And what I wanted to know is, Dad, what is something, or what are a few things that you can learn from that the next generation and the generation after that, what can we learn from marriage?
What you can learn from marriage is, no matter what, if you're married to someone, you're gonna have good things going on. You're gonna have bad things, but you stick it out, no matter what. Those vows means a lot, and I see the three of you. You're really family value. You really spend a lot of time with your kids. And that means a lot. What I should have done, I wish I'd done the same thing, that the way you given family value, the way you guys do with your kids. And I'll say this much, like Sheldon, he became more of a father figure to you than I did, because I was just concerned about myself. And what I learned, if you don't give the responsibility, you're going to be running all your life from anything. Doesn't matter what it is. So trust me, I really learned from the three of you. You took responsibility, and you're not running away from it. And I really love to see that.
Nay, same question.
Well, first, God first. God first. If I didn't have a relationship with God, my marriage wouldn't be where it is today, because I feel like you have to have that relationship with God, and for you to understand what marriage is really about. And so I'm just really at a point where I just take one day at a time, and I thank God for where we're at today, because all of us yet still married to one person. All our children is by. It's some people in the church that doesn't have that testimony, and so I look up to you two, because the way you treat your wives and the way you raise your children. I'm honored to be your sister, because you guys are true men of God and staying the race. So I'm honored. And another thing is that as long as we just continue to love one another, respect one another, and honor, the future is, sky's the limit. And I thank God for Daddy, because he's supporting all of us in our element. So today we're in Boo's element, Stan James' element.
Stan James,
Stan James' element. When he goes with Sheldon, and with going to the football field, to the games, that's his element, And then when he comes to church with me, that's my element. But all of us, he's supporting all of us. And that's why we can't limit what God has, the future, because who would have known that God would have our dad here to support us, to go that, as Boo would say, in the fourth quarter, the overtime, or who would have known? But it's something that only God knows the future, and I just want to say thank you, Boo, because this is your element, and to see our dad here supporting you is so much. It just brings tears to my eyes. Of course, we want Mom here, of course, but at the end of the day, we still got Dad. And so it's a blessing, and I'm honored to be your daughter, Dad, and I'm honored to be y'all's sister.
How many years have you been married?
20, going on 27.
And how many years together?
No, I don't do together, because in the biblical world, it's fornication. So I only in the years that we have been together, married, weighs out more, because I feel like when you're married, you have an obligation. And so I don't, when I tell them almost 27 years, they're blown away, because they just don't believe that a person at 47. But Sheldon's been married longer than me, I think.
I've been married now 25.
Oh, no, I got married before you?
Yeah, you got married before me.
Oh, okay, so 27, 25.
But we've been together, me and Dita been together 31.
No.
31 years.
Yeah. So Sheldon, I want to ask you that same question. You guys been together a long time. You guys have been together since '88. Mm-hmm. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you can learn?
Before I get into it, I want to always thank Nay. When we having kids, and then when we did have kids, when we started off, Nay had her daycare, and she took care of Cheston, Nina, Seisha, and Chayda, and it was just a blessing for her to be in our life, because it was just a blessing for her to be in life, and she got to really know her nieces and nephews.
And can I just add to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Che, he plays football for St. John Bosco, one of the best in the state. And country.
Number 3 in the
number
country.
number 3, the number 3 and number 3. Mm-hmm. but he, as Sheldon was saying, they came through the daycare, and anybody knows me, I love to pray. And till this day, Che calls me before every game to pray, and that's a humbling, because no matter where he goes, he says, "Auntie, can we pray before the game?" And I hear a lot of people in the background, and I'm like, God, he's not even ashamed to pray. So thank you for giving me the honor to even have a national football player go to my daycare.
It's. But I just want to say thanks to Nate. She was there for us when we was raising our kids, and I'm loving Dad being in our life now. It's unbelievable, because Che always asks us, or Adita, or say, "Hey, is Grandpa coming to the game?" Like, yeah, he's coming. I'm gonna have to take him home.
Midnight drive.
And they always ask. They say, "Is Grandpa coming to the game?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he's coming." Dita always asks. Is he coming? I was like, "Yeah, he's gonna be at the house by 4:00. Don't worry about it." And then and I'm always thank Boo is that he was at that time when we had our kids, and he was like their brother at that time. He's more. I know he was their uncle, but he was always there. He actually coached Nina's team, and he always helped me with the teams, and he was unbelievable. Both of you guys meant a lot to me. So it's I just wanted to say thank you for that. And back to that question.
No problem. I
know
feel like you was getting an award or something like
that. On marriage, and me and Dita, she was the only person I've been with and been together 31 years, 25 years married. But I think it's all about communication and trying to work together and keeping God in your corner. You know what I'm saying? If you keep praying, you get through the bad things and get to the good things. It's because the bad things always only there for a second. You know what I'm saying? And you can get through those times. And I think if you have a lot of communication and loving each other and love the family, I think you can get through anything. You know what I'm saying? You never run away from the problem. You know what I'm saying? So and just learning things through life. Mm-hmm. That's how you. I get emotional. That's why I'm getting kind of. It's this family. If you stay with your family, you get through. If you have a strong team, you can get through anything.
Amen. Amen on that.
And I think if you have that team, you can get through anything.
Well, for me, we've been together since 2000, and we're going on. I think this is going to be our 14th year together. And what I've learned over the years is,
how long you been married?
14 years.
Oh, okay.
14 years. Here on September 5th. Well, actually, our marriage date is September 22nd. So yeah, we're going on 14 years, and what I've learned is the constant communication, the collaboration of being able to work through all the bad times, because you're gonna have, when you go through marriage, you're gonna have your down times, and people don't like to deal with the hard times, but that's when you really get to know the person, right? And that's when when you're going through the times where it's like, when we first got together, bad credit, right? Or anything that's dealing with the kids and things like that. That's when you really get to know who you are dealing with. And once you get to that other side and you get through that tornado or hurricane, and you look back and you're like, whoa, we did this together. I've learned that. And then not only that is to have a strong inner circle. Having my sister and brother being that inner circle, you were able to get through a lot and bounce things off of each other and have those conversations. Even though, for the most part, our conversations, we can be talking about some of the worst times in our lives, and it, for some reason, turns into laughter.
Laughter,
right?
Yeah.
that's the therapy. That's the therapy that you go through, and I think the laughter has really got us through a lot, and really have that mentality by saying, you know what, it might be hard, but we can still laugh and still enjoy it. And a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people, they look at like, why you guys always laughing? But it's we're just bringing joy. We're just bringing joy, and I really appreciate that about my sister and brother. The last question before we close off this podcast is, something that I talk not only to the kids, but also talk to, in my business life and things like that. It's about, what are some glows and grows, and glows are things that stand out about you, right? The next generation and generations down the line, I think they want to hear some glows, some things that stands out about you that really is something really, really good. And then also grows. What can they learn from you to grow from? It's not a regret, because you should always learn from what is going on. If you fail at something, you should be able to learn from it. So it's growing. So Sheldon, I'm gonna ask you, why don't you tell me one of your glows about your life, and then also what is one grow?
I think one of my glows is I think I like trying to help people get through whatever they need to get through. I'm like that happy person. Like I talk to a lot of people at work. You know what I'm saying? Is one of what they're going through. So whatever they're going through, I try to just bring them through it. I probably never even talked to you guys about it, but at work, a lot of guys come to me and they think I think I'm really humble, but they think I'm successful with whatever I do, but they come to me with their problems. Actually, one of the guys called me, and Dad was in the car, and I remember he said he was going to Vegas, and I had to talk him down from going to Vegas to get his kid. Yeah. And I barely met him about a month ago, and he's always calling me to figure out what he should do. And I think I think that's one of my glows, is trying to help people to do what they need to do, or I don't know. I think that's one of my glows.
Glows. And what about
my
grow? Yeah.
So that's one of my faults.
Well, something you can learn from.
Something I can learn from. One of my faults is patience with people. I think I think I need more patience with people. Sometimes I'm short with people, but I have a gift of talking to people, but sometimes I don't have patience with people, and I need to be more patient. I think that's one of my faults. So I think that's pretty much it. Probably if Dita was here, she'd probably give me all my faults.
Slow down, Dita.
I got a list.
All right. So, Nay, what about you?
My glow would be giving my life to Christ. Mm-hmm. That would be the brightest thing in my life, and that I can share that with anybody and everybody. Mm-hmm. That if you give your life to Christ, your heart and your mind changes. My grow would be to love harder. Mm-hmm. That when people come in my presence, that they know I'm gonna love you unconditional, and I think that's what brought me and Dad back together is that I gave my life to Christ, and that I chose to forget the past and to love. And I want to love harder. That wherever I go, I don't care who I'm talking to, but they can see God's love in me and know that whatever you say, this is not a judgment zone. This is just two listening ears that, want you to know Jesus Christ. So I think that would be my growth, just to love harder and to even like what Sheldon said, have more patience with people. Even the job I do, is patience with children. But I want more patience, because the Bible says, let patience possess your soul. So when your soul has patience, that means whatever they bring to you is not going to move you. It's not going to disrupt your peace. So if I could just have more patience, like Sheldon was saying, I think that'll be one of the growths that the children of today, because the children of today, everything is instant gratification. I'm on TikTok. I got 1 million followers. I'm going to be all right. No, you're not. Because 1 million followers doesn't make you who you are. It's more than that. So if I have more patience and love harder, that could be a growth for me.
Well, one of my goals is I'm always looking to help individuals. I think that's what I'm put on this earth to do, is to be able to be able to help people. Sometimes I'm that individual that runs to the fire instead of running away to try to save someone. So I think that's one of my goals, is being able to always look to try to help. One of my goals is something that I'm still on that journey. I'm still on this journey, but I think turning 40 was to be able to not be as judgmental and to accept for people for who they are, right? And it's more about understanding who they are opposed to, nah, you're wrong. And as you walk through life, and as you meet certain people in your life, I've told them, like, I don't care what you do. I just want to learn why you do this, or why you believe in this, or something like that. It's more about understanding, and I'm still on that journey. But that's something that I wish I would have had at a younger age, of just being able to understand people opposed to judging them. So that's my growth, and I hope that the generations down the line really gets to that and just understand that what somebody is doing, it can, how they live, it can be wrong or right, but you still just try to understand who they are.
Yeah.
So, Dad, grows and glows. What is your glow?
I learned, matter of fact, from you, Bernetta, getting closer to the Lord. Don't get me wrong, I know the Lord, but I kind of distance myself. But when I listen to you, and you give me hope, faith, courage, and I really learned from that. You cannot do anything without the Lord in your life, because He's your team. I listen to other people's story and seem like I get more emotional feelings, because I can feel the love. I feel the love between the three of you. It's nice to be back with love and hope and faith and courage. Before, I just blocked it out. And I wish I can get more.
Yeah,
because it's been a long time coming. So that's what I feel about life, period, now. You don't know what this means to me being together. Because I blocked it out. So I'm looking for more.
And what is your growth?
Helping others. Just helping others in getting to know the Lord. And sometimes that's will bring me a long ways. Just helping others mentally.
Yeah, a lot of things is that I gotta give props to Nay. I gotta give props to Nay and Aditya because they brought us closer to you. They would always tell us like, "Hey, go see Dad, talk to Dad," and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna do it." And then when Dita would always talk to you, and Nay would always talk to you, and that's how back in the day, that's how I would communicate with you, is through Nay and Aditya, and just to bring us all back together is like unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? It's unbelievable. It's this guy that's helped us get it all back together because I love it. And I remember one guy always telling me, he said, "Hey," he told me, he said, "Hey, I was talking about you," and I was like, "Man," he said, "Go see your dad. You never know, what's going to happen or something. Always go see your dad. He's the one that brought you in this world." And to this day, I love it. You know what I'm saying? I love you coming to the games on Friday night. Just bringing. It's nothing like your father being at his grandson's game. His grandson's game, and unbelievable, and just being the energy to have somebody to be your father be there. It's unbelievable.
You mentioned something to me a little while back. You said you're around family. Well, let's say Aditya's family. Mm-hmm. But it's not like having your own family there. Mm-hmm. It means more to you.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Yeah, Aditya's family's been unbelievable. And it's just, when you have your own family, it's like, you feel like you're at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a blessing. And I like what you said, Dad. It's nice to be back. It's nice to be back. And I felt the same way, Sheldon. My in-laws, they've been good to me. They've been good to me. But ain't nothing like my daddy. And so I echo that same thing. Boo's in-laws, good to him. We got some good in-laws,
we do.
They good to us, but ain't nothing like daddy. Mm-hmm. And so when you show up, it speaks volume. It speaks volume. So this is good, Boo. Appreciate you because you had the mind to do something like this. And so we honor you today. And just, you're not just our little brother, but this is your element, and your dad is here to witness what you do. To be honest with you, I didn't know what you did. No,
nobody does. I'm like Tommy from Martin. You ain't got no job.
You ain't got no job. What are you talking? And then when we came in here, he opening up doors. I said, "Oh, Boo really got a job. This is nice. This is nice."
When you tried to explain what you do, it just went one ear and out the other because I didn't understand what you did. You tried to explain it, but it just didn't click. But now I'm really happy that we did this.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
What I wanted to do is, again, I wanted to be able to have the generations that are coming up to be able to listen to what we are, because we're all not complete, right? We are still growing from and learning as life goes on, and everything that happens to our past and everything that we've gone through, ups and downs, has led us to this point in our life. We have a big celebration of Sheldon's 50th that's coming up in about a week, and we're bringing his the family and also the friends all together, And I think it's only beautiful to have these conversations and the openness that we have, and to really go back and just think about our past and where we came from, right? To because our life could have turned any way. We could have been, so many different places.
So many.
But God has put us in a place to where we can still make differences in people's lives. And when I saw you become I think I told you, it was just like more consistent, just at the games, at the parties, and things like that, to be around. I said, this is only the right time to be able to bring us all together again. And, we want to be together. We want to, have the love, and we want to be able to continue to learn from each other. And I think this is a great thing to just hear. And again, the next generations, when they hear this on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts or something like that, right? They'll be able to listen to this. It goes on for about an hour and 15 minutes. This is something they'll be able to carry along, and hopefully they'll be able to learn from this. So with that, we're coming to an end of the James Family Podcast. It was a beautiful time, but I have to go pay bills. So did you guys have any parting shots that you guys want to say before we close this out?
Just want to say I love you guys. Love you, Nina, Cheston, Seisha, Chaden, and Aditha. I love you guys. And I love all our family. I just want to put that out there. Thanks, Boo, for putting this together. I love it.
Yep.
Nay? Giving honor to God, who makes all things possible. I just thank God for my husband, David Gates. Thank God for my oldest, Jasmine, David, Davon, Davion, Stormy, and just thank God. This is amazing, and God is amazing, and what God does, he does it perfect. And I thank God, Boo, because you didn't have us coming in just with a little phone and a speaker, but we got top of the line, top of the line. So when God does something, he does it right. He does it perfect, and he prepares us. So I am honored to be here, and I just thank God my husband allowed me to be here today.
I just want to say thank you to my wife Brandy, my son Braylon, the spitting image of me, my daughter, and also my daughter Brielle, and Biscuit the dog, right? And like I said, I just appreciate my family. I appreciate the in-laws. There's a lot of things that we wouldn't have done without their help. And I just appreciate my inner circle and everything that they bring and things like that. I'm just blessed to have a inner circle of people that is helping us and being able to make sure that we're successful. So with that, Dad, I'll leave you with the parting shot, the last word.
I really do appreciate that two of my sons, my daughter, didn't give up on me and bringing the love to me. And you just don't know how that makes me feel. I've been going around without love for a long time. So it's nice to be having that in my life. Hopefully that'll help me become a stronger person.
Well, thank you, everyone. I'm glad that you tuned in to this James Family Podcast. I'm going to catch you on the next time. We're going to have some more special guests. You'll be able to catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and any streaming service. So make sure you guys go ahead and take a listen. We love y'all. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Peace out.